Children are motivated to learn when they feel valued and respected, and when they believe that their contributions are valid and important, and when they understand that what they are learning is connected in some meaningful way to their lives and their values. According to the 2019 Global Family Research Project article, Funds of Knowledge, the Funds of Knowledge approach to education provides teachers with an opportunity to become learners by, quote, becoming aware of the home as a learning environment, end quote. This means that the knowledge that students have acquired through their daily lives, through factors such as culture, race, environment, etc., is as valuable as the knowledge gained through other means, such as various skills that they might learn in school. This approach is important because such a perspective allows teachers to help students find meaningful connections between the material that is being presented and the prior knowledge that students already possess. If students feel that what they are learning is relevant to them, to their lives, then they are more motivated to want to learn it. Often students become disengaged from learning because they don't feel like what they are learning has anything to do with their own lives. They see people in textbooks that don't look like them. They are presented with situations that are unfamiliar or with which they cannot identify in any way. They then begin to feel unseen, unheard, unimportant, like they don't matter. This idea is further supported by the 2016 video Cultural Iceberg, which discusses Edward T. Hall's iceberg analogy of culture. This theory puts forth the idea that only certain aspects of culture, like language, art, music, are easily seen, but are actually just the tip of the iceberg. While, quote, the vast majority of culture, such as worldviews, spiritual beliefs, religion, concepts of time, respect for authority, lie below the surface, end quote. We have then this incredible resource within our very students, but we do them a huge disservice if we fail to acknowledge or even recognize that it is there. But to access this highly valuable resource, we have to be willing to change our lens, because we as educators have to be willing to become the learners and allow the students to become the teachers, because the students and their families are the experts on them. This means that every student comes into the classroom with vast amounts of prior knowledge to draw upon. These students are not just vessels that are waiting to be filled. They're going to teach us as much as we teach them. But to be successful with this approach, we have to want to learn what they have to teach. If we're open to learning about what is important to our students and what is significant to them, then we are given very powerful tools of connection. People want to learn more about things that interest them, and students are no different. They are motivated to learn about things that they believe are tied to their own lives in some way. So if we seek to learn more about that huge part of the iceberg that is under the surface, then we can access knowledge that allows students to make connections to things that they value, and it allows them to make sense of those lessons according to their worldview. An example of this can be seen when we consider the 6th grade teacher whose students are not engaged. In this instance, the teacher is trying to teach the Common Core Standard 6 NSB.3, which involves the student fluently being able to add decimals using the standard algorithm for this operation. In order to accomplish this task, the teacher has chosen a list of favorite foods and is having the students calculate the total cost of the food list. A potential problem here is that the teacher is making some assumptions. She might be assuming that everybody likes the same foods or is interested in the same foods or even knows what those foods are. She might be assuming that they have any understanding at all about this task or how this task will ever affect their lives in any real way. So I would change this assignment by having students put together a slide presentation in which they describe a dish that is part of a tradition, that is important to their family or holds value in their culture. I would then ask students to include an image of the meal and to explain why their dish is important to them and when they are likely to eat it. Next, I would have them include a recipe and put together a list of foods that they would need to purchase in order to make that dish. From that information, I would then compile a list of foods with prices listed, and then they would use my list to identify the total cost of their dish. Students would share their presentations with the class, and then the students who are in the audience would write one interesting thing that they learned from this presentation or that they found that they might have in common with the information that they were exposed to. Students could then have a potluck, and we could ask families to participate if they so choose by providing a dish that would allow the other students to sample new foods. So this approach, I think, would allow students to share information about elements of their own lives, and it allows the math standard to be met by having students use information that is familiar to them or that is relevant to them, that is important to them. And this approach would also increase the cultural competency of the class as a whole and broaden all perspectives, students and teachers alike.